Growing up, I fell in love with the Pokemon franchise, but every time my friends and I would talk about what our favorite Pokemon games were, we'd have the same conversation. Ooh, I love Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. Piplup is just so cute. Ooh, I love Pokemon Emerald. Rayquaza's just the coolest. And then here's little Moop who would pipe in and say, hey, have any of you guys played Pokemon Mystery Dungeon? Silence. No, none of them had. And you know what? They were missing out. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon were a light-hearted adventure where you actually got to play as a Pokemon, going on crazy adventures and journeys with your friends, finding treasure through mystery dungeons, all while living a carefree life, occasionally interrupted by a sexually confusing Grovyle. But light-hearted adventure and treasure couldn't be all there was to this world, could there? No. This is Pokemon Outlaws Paradise, a Pokemon game that shows the dark underbelly of the Pokemon justice system, the scum, the corruption, and the Pokemon who fall between the cracks. We start our journey as Armaldo, a rough, tough criminal with a long rap sheet and apparently a new companion. I knew it, this is an ancient city that's been buried by time. But there's a bunch of treasure over there. Dude, Igglybuff's right on the... That's the right mindset for a child to have. Wait, I finally found you, Armaldo. My name is Nidoking. I'm an explorer. Oh shit, it's the cops. Oh, Mama, Papa. Did we kidnap a child? Not again. I can't go through this again. Apparently, the Igglybuff who had been following us around for days was reported as missing, and when you're a wanted outlaw like we were, it's not a huge stretch of the imagination to assume that we had some nefarious intentions. Junior didn't take too well to that though. I'm sorry, Junior. Just like Nidoking said, I'm a bad guy. That's not true. I'm an outlaw. And they were searching the entire region for me. To avoid getting caught, I've always been running. I thought we were gonna teach me a lot of things and keep on exploring. If Master disappears, what will I do? Did you enjoy exploring? Yeah? So become an amazing explorer someday for me. Don't be a blockhead like me. You've got a gift for exploring, so you should. Do your best. Become an amazing explorer for me. But when I've finished, and if I still feel the same, I'll try to become an explorer. I don't know when that'll be, but when that day comes, I'd like to go exploring with you again. It's a promise. Sorry to have kept you all waiting. And that's how we found ourselves being dragged off to prison. Maximum security, a real VIP. It was great, we wake up by being screamed at, we get marched to the yard, where us and the other prisoners are berated by the warden. He's abusive on his worst days and neglectful on his best. Apparently, the more troublesome prisoners even get chained up to these pillars in the yard for punishment. Speaking of the other prisoners, well, what do you expect? They're the worst Pokemon the world has to offer. But at the very least, Smeargle was friendly, if not a bit shy. Personally, I think they were just happy to have someone who didn't threaten to eat them every conversation. Wait, could you possibly be normal? Normal? Oh, hooray! Finally, someone normal! They showed us around our new home, describing how terrible all the Pokemon here were. They showed us the ins and outs of the prison, describing how terrible the situation was, how deadly all the other Pokemon were. But for supposedly being our only friend here, they may have left out a key detail: how the pecking order works. Our very first night we were woken up by Lycanroc, and as far as the other Pokemon here goes, he seems pretty level-headed. The bad news was we had a fight to go to. See, every prisoner in here was part of an underground fight club, partly to burn off stress and partly to establish a hierarchy. You refuse to fight, you end up an outcast, and they'll find a way to make your life miserable outside of the ring. And since we're new blood, we were ripe for the picking. Our very first battle was against Seviper and his gang, who made clear in no uncertain terms that he wanted a taste of me. And no, not in a fun way. Luckily, I'm pretty confident in a fight. Oh shit, let's fucking go. Okay, you know what? Bring it. I'm a master. We're already poisoned. Despite that initial setback, we were able to pull through and prove ourselves in combat, meaning that the rest of the prisoners here would start to give us a bit of respect. Smeargle apologized for not filling us in on the fight club. He himself didn't participate in the pit, and because of that, he was subject to terrifying bullying by the other inmates. In his defense, though, the other prisoners are absolutely terrifying. Shedinja had been here longer than anyone. Apparently, he was the ghost of a previous inmate who's long since passed away, and now their spirit is tied here due to the constant bloodshed. Lycanroc was pretty quiet quiet and chill, but their buddy Croconaut was constantly bragging about his pirate gang on the outside. Cacturn had a funny way of speaking, but he was friendly enough. They had a lot of connections to contraband on the outside if you needed it. And Lycanroc? Well, Lycanroc was the one Pokemon that you really didn't want to mess with. Oh man, what I did! Oh, you just reminded me of that! Oh my god, I'm a monster! Unfortunately, the crazy Pokemon had started to become a little attached to me, but that's a problem for later. Even Seviper was beginning to respect us and occasionally would help us out in the pit if we were outnumbered. Slowly, we sank into a bit of a routine in our prison life. Wake up, hang out with Smeargle, get bothered by Lycanroc, fight in the pit, and witness the occasional fight between inmates. As we won more and more fights, we became more and more respected by the inmates, to the point that Smeargle asked us for a favor. Does anyone really like anyone around here? I mean, I don't like fighting, and I shouldn't even be here, but maybe if I start... Listen, Smeargle, I like you, and that's why I'm gonna be brutally honest. You're not gonna last a moment in the pit. I mean, I know I wouldn't, but I feel like such an outsider here. I have to do something. I mean, I have to keep looking over my shoulder to make sure no one does anything to me. Listen, you're gonna regret it. Trust me. And you shouldn't have to do anything you don't want to do to make someone else like you. But aren't you doing the same thing? But that's different. Seems like the same thing. Anyway, I think fighting is a really bad idea. You're just gonna end up getting hurt. I need to find someone I can take on. There's gotta be someone who I can fight. I don't even need to win. I just need to fight someone so that I start getting treated better. Smeargle, who the hell are you gonna be able to fight that won't leave you in a world of pain? When a challenge is issued to you, you have to respond to it, right? I challenge you, Armaldo! You what? To be honest, it's not the worst idea in the world, and we agreed to do it because, well, why not? Smeargle has been nothing but kind to us so far, even if they withhold information, but I don't think any of the inmates have a concept of doing your friends a solid, and I don't know if that's sad or convenient, because we could probably pull this off without suspicion. To absolutely no one's surprise, Smeargle was not an actual threat in combat, and they went down pretty easily. But at the very least, it seems like the other inmates would start to cut them a bit of slack. Haha! So that guy finally got the nerve to fight, and he actually put up a fight with the new guy. Put up a fight is a strong word. He used tackle once. But of course he was gonna lose. He doesn't belong here. At least he finally fought, though. About time he quit running. I was hoping that meant we would be able to relax for a little bit. Maybe even return to our peaceful life, or as peaceful as it could be in this prison. But unfortunately, Arceus had other plans. He sounds even more unhinged than usual. I don't even want to know what's going through his psychotic mind. The smell of prey! The thrill of the hunt! It's almost time! What's everyone doing? Avoiding Lycanroc. He's been getting really delirious lately. That's a sign he's getting ready to fight soon. Laron filled me in that every once in a while, Lycanroc becomes just a teensy bit unhinged. Oh, really? I hadn't noticed. When he gets like this, it means he's preparing to fight someone in the pit, and that usually meant that someone was about to die. Even Lycanroc's own teammates weren't exempt from his carnage, which is why, for the past couple years, he's been operating solo. Best of luck to the poor sap he'd chosen as his next prey, and unfortunately, I had a pretty good suspicion of who it was going to be. As a last-ditch effort to secure safety, we tried to ask the warden if there was anything that could be done, but he just gave us the usual spiel. My job is to protect the public from you and your criminal friends. I care about the public safety. If you blockheads want to tear each other apart, that's none of my business. Oh, charming. That night, when Laron came for us, we knew exactly what it was for. Lycanroc's friendly demeanor through this interaction was more unnerving than anything. You could tell the wolf Pokemon truly didn't have any malice towards us. He was just excited to sink his teeth into something or someone. And once again, not in a fun way. My guy! You took my challenge! I've heard all about you, Lycanroc. Everyone around here seems to be scared of you. Aw, scared of me? I can't imagine why! I hate to tell you, my guy, but I'm probably not gonna remember this fight. To Seviper's credit, though, they're a Pokemon of their word. Despite being enemies, they had our back in this fight. Without them, I don't think we would have beaten Lycanroc and gotten out of this in one piece. But unfortunately for us, this fight isn't the most stressful thing that happened to us. You're trying to make it to the top, right? How about another fighter to join your ranks? Yep. The big bad wolf himself had decided he wanted to fight with us, and as stressful as it could be to have a loose cannon like that running around, I saw it as a bit of an opportunity. If I couldn't return to my peaceful life on the outside, maybe I could try to make a better life in here. Just because some of these Pokemon have done bad things, it didn't really mean they were bad through and through. As terrifying and violent as Lycanroc was, I don't think he truly hated anyone. He just didn't understand what he was doing. Lairon was the one organizing these pit fights, and yes, they were violent and carnal, but it was a way to keep the more aggressive Pokemon relaxed. And Smeargle didn't really belong here at all. He was arrested on a vandalism charge for painting on the wall of a police station. Did they really deserve to be in here with Pokemon like me? The pits and gaining respect through fighting were a way I could change things. As I won more and more, even Croconaw began to remember my name. Through fight after fight, our gang of Seviper, Lycanroc, and me gained more influence. Smeargle had even started to socialize with other inmates. Shedinja joined our posse after being defeated. What does Wonder Guard mean to a single blast seed, am I right? Even Lycanroc and Seviper started to become unlikely friends. Okay, so repeat after me. Hello, my name is Seviper. This is stupid. In a roundabout way, I was coming to really treasure the Pokemon in here with me, which made some goodbyes a lot harder. Smeargle came to us one night, and he was finally getting out. It was great news, don't get me wrong. He never really deserved to be in a maximum security prison, and frankly, I could only do so much to keep him safe. But they were the first friend I made in paradise, so it was a bit bittersweet. You're kidding? You're really getting out? Smeargle, that's the best news you could possibly hope for. What's bittersweet about it? The least we could do for our friend was to send them off in grand fashion. A huge celebration, ironically, in the pit. And in a way, it kind of symbolized how far we had come as a group. We were happy for Smeargle. We were sending them off not with fear, but with well wishes. It was sweet. Way more than criminals like us deserved. The next couple years started to blur together. Our gang expanded bit by bit. Even that stubborn Croconaw joined up after we proved our worth by beating him and his pirates. And more importantly, we helped Lycanroc get their self-confidence back. Don't cry, Lycanroc. You look hot as fuck. Really? You mean that? Likeable Lycanroc! That's me! That is to say, until those two came to the prison. I didn't know it at the time, but the new prisoners would be a catalyst that shook the entire inmate ecosystem, and all because of a Mightyena and his kid Poochyena brother. I didn't think much of them at first. By now, I had seen a lot of Pokemon come and go, but if I had to describe them in a couple words, I'd probably say they were recklessly stupid. Their very first day here, the older brother Mightyena decided to start a feud with the warden. I don't care. You mugs don't know nothing. Nobody disrespects me on my block. And that goes for the rest of you. Let this be a reminder of what happens when you get out of line around here. Explode? Make yourself useful. Escort our new guest back to his suite. Show him where criminals like him end up. Don't get me wrong, is the warden a raging power-mad nutjob? Yeah. And was Mightyena being defiant for absolutely no reason? Also yeah. But no Pokemon deserves a beating like that, especially in front of their family. Mightyena was hauled off to solitude, and we really had no clue when we'd be able to see them again. So I took it upon myself to take care of the young pup. Not that he really wanted it. I don't like seeing good Pokemon end up here costing themselves. It's sad to see. We rob and steal for a living. We don't know anything except for taking everything from everyone we can find. You can say that you're just thieves, but eventually things have to change. Good night, Poochyena. Hopefully you consider what I told you. What can I say? Poochyena might have been a brat, but he kind of reminded me of a scrappy young Igglybuff I hadn't seen in years. I couldn't do anything to make sure Junior was doing well, but it wasn't too late to help this kid, especially since he had no idea when the warden would bring his brother back. Weeks went by, and we had started to take on more fights to protect Poochyena. A group of spinning fighters, Lairon's family, even a gang with what has to be the worst name ever. Oh, it's the Rock Hawks. That's the thing. If I see a Rock Hawk, I want to get all up close and personal. I can take so many Rock Hawks. Here's the thing about Rock Hawks. Sometimes you gotta bust them more than once. But unfortunately, I came to a realization. No matter how much influence I gained over the other prisoners, it would never be enough to make actual change here. Even if I become king of the inmates, I'm still behind bars. So what do I care? This is prison, not a resort. It's not supposed to be pleasant. Who cares what a criminal's feelings are? You didn't care about the feelings of all the Pokemon you hurt. And this torturous place where the guards treat you like dirt, where you're forgotten by the outside community, just another number to slowly be erased, was enough to drive even the strongest dragon-type Pokemon crazy. So a kid like Poochyena stood no chance. He was beginning to crack, and everyone had begun to notice.
That warden, he disgusts me. I know we're all bad guys, but we're Pokemon too. How could he do that to someone? Does nobody care about us?
Can't believe the Pokemon prison system is right up there with the American prison system. Shit's nuts. That night, when we returned from our fight in the pit, the dumbass kid did something drastic. He decided to try and fight the warden himself.
Hey, yous!
What are you doing in my chambers, prisoner? Are you deaf? I said get lost. Back to your cell now.
You hurt my brother!
I guess your attitude runs in your sad family, doesn't it? That's where I draw the line. Now, I've done a lot of things I'm not proud of. A lot of crimes that no Pokemon should ever do. I deserve to be in prison. I do. I'm a piece of garbage, no good, terrible outlaw Pokemon. So it's easy for one piece of trash to recognize another. You can abuse me all you want, but this kid does not know any better. I rallied the entire gang, anyone who was tired of Rampardos' abuse and who would lend a hand, and not a single Pokemon didn't answer. Croconaw even managed to swipe the keys off some of the guards and get Mightyena out of solitary. It was a full-on prison riot, baby.
This mug left a good mark on me. I'm thinking it's time we return the favor.
How in the world did you manage to release him? We wasted our time on this warden for too long. There's one thing that I have no patience for, and that's bullying the young ones. Me neither. Watching what you did to that kid's brother was the last straw. It's time you were relieved of your duties, Rampardos. An army of Magnemite guards closed in, and despite being surrounded, every single one of these Pokemon had combat experience. How could they not? We had been fighting each other for years in the pit. In a sense, it was kind of cathartic to direct that violence towards somewhere else. It felt like we were fighting an even bigger villain than any of us. And I mean, seeing Lycanroc go nuts is always a sight to see, especially after we found out he loves gardening, of all things. What a fascinating fellow he is. I didn't like exploring much until I stole a child recently. Ooh, fun! I actually really enjoy gardening. Gardening? That's exceedingly normal. But eventually, we prevailed. Our group of prisoners had toppled this corrupt warden, and in more ways than one. Eventually, Officer Magnezone had arrived on the scene. We were sent back to our cells, but not before Rampardos was fired and arrested for all of his abuse. I don't know who called Officer Magnezone and clued them into what was going on, but I like to think that a certain vandal with their newly obtained freedom had something to do with that. The next couple years in prison were some of the most peaceful in my entire life. A new warden was put in place and made life for the inmates easier. The group of Pokemon that I had been terrified of for so long had somehow become my trusted companions, my friends, and in a really weird way, we were all a broken little family. It was sad to see them go one by one, but I had many a crime to repent for. And let's be honest, at least I had Lycanroc. I love the guy, but he's a straight up menace and he should not get freedom. But at the very least, with the new warden in charge, we could get him a therapist. A couple years down the line though, I did get a really interesting visit. The mother of Junior, that Igglybuff from so many years ago. The one I met right before I got here. She told me a lot of things. That he's all evolved now, that he's happy, that he's become an amazing explorer, and most of all, that he never forgot me. He loved to brag to his friends about what a great explorer his master was, outlaw or not, and that now being the big shot adventurer that he was, he wanted to start his own guild. There's this place called Treasure Town, and I made a decision. I'm opening an exploration guild. I have so many friends who are helping me make my dream a reality, a dream I never would have had without you, Master. I don't know when you're leaving wherever you are, but I can't wait until we can explore together again. I don't know how much longer I have in my sentence. After all, I've done so many terrible things, but In a weird way, letting that stupid, pushy kid Igglybuff travel with me for a bit was something that I would never regret. It may have gotten me caught by the police, but if that's what it took to change this place for the better, so be it. And if that inspired that little brat to help so many other people, to do so much good in the world, maybe I could take a little credit for that.